One, it's good for the developing countries because panel one, if these developing countries actually get a lot of more people in the job sector, production is going to be increased, meaning that the impact on the states, production is going to be increased for the states, right? Any POI? Good. So panel yes. On how this affects the companies, right? Panel, it encourages employee development. This is very simple. In their world, right, where I know that I am entering into this company, I don't necessarily know whether I'll be staying in this company for the rest of my life, right? And I know that there's a non-compete clause which is actually going to be included in my employment agreement. What actually happens is that the individual knows this, and he then the individual doesn't. Like the individual knows this, right? And because of that, he doesn't want to get into that company because once he leaves that company with the non-complete clause introduced in his employment manual or employment file or something, he then loses the ability. He knows that after he leaves that company, he won't be able to get into another big company, right? So basically, the individual himself knows that his production or his services is going to be stifled after he leaves the company. What this then does is that these companies, without the engagement of the non-compete clause, they are actually able to encourage employee development, which means that more individuals will want to come into their company because they know that, oh, once I leave your company, I'll still be able to get into an equally better company. I'll still be able to get into an equally better company to actually help myself improve. What you get from side opening government is that we actually help the individuals improve their own production. We help the company because there's more employee development, that the companies are getting more employers. We help the states because once these individuals are getting more jobs in these developing countries, it actually betters the economy of the state. We win today's debate from side OG.
Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, I'll be doing a couple of things in my debate, right? Framing, contextualization, argumentation as to why we believe us, and as to why this constitutes a fundamental injustice, principally unjustified in government's world, right? With that in mind, first of all, we need to understand explicitly what this non-compete clause is about, right? Before we can actually fiat any argumentation. So this is it. So non-compete agreements are contracts between an employer and an employee that are signed at the start of their business relationship, right? Essentially, it prohibits the employee from competing with the business directly or indirectly. Very important in today's debate, indirectly, for a specific duration of time after the employment has ended, right? So the limitations are basically two, right? Time duration and geographical region, right? So if this employer leaves a particular business, right, goes and wants to like work out of this business, right? There are two limitations that are going to be bounded by time and geographical limitation. I'm going to show you even why that is still like a problem, right? So we actually have a better benefits in our world. With that in mind, this is what the non-compete process actually looks like. So that looks like number one, working for a competitor company or individual. Two, starting a company that offers the same products or services. Three, developing competing products or providing competing services. Four, recruiting former colleagues to join the new business, right? So what I want to basically show is that why this constitutes a fundamental injustice to the business interests of these companies, and why it's like sometimes it's like transcending impact to the global economy, to the global to the local economy and to like the national economy as a whole. So on protection of legitimate business interests, right? So before anything, right, you need to understand what's the business interest that exists in this like non-compete process actually being contended on. So the first one is that on trade secrets, confidential business or professional like information, company relationship with specific customers and clients, either existing or pre-existing, and specialized training, right? So what you should notice is that there are very legitimate business interests that these companies actually hold, right? And we think that what you actually do is that you actually harm these businesses that actually exist in this context. What you should notice is that most often than not, right, the competitors that are actually competing with these businesses are things like multinational based in other like people from local industries to work for their companies, right? What you actually do is that you sell off very vital, very crucial information of these companies to their competitors. We think it's like unjustified for multiple reasons I'm going to give you in this debate, right? So actually, what you should notice that most of these local companies already like in status quo are companies that don't actually have that same leverage and mobility to actually like compete on a fair ground already, right? In a status quo, in the context where other companies are like existing, right? We think that what actually happens is that when you siphon things like business interests of these local industries, right? What you actually do is that you kill them, you leave people unemployed, and you keep millions of people. Even if maybe you are doing one employment, if you are giving employment to just one single person in the name of wants to give people employment, right? What you actually do is that when you actually sell this business interest to these other like competitors, right? You actually kill an entire company, leave people homeless, jobless, and that's like a transcendent impact that you can actually have into these debates, right? So maybe in your word, you actually just giving one person employment, but in other words, you leave people homeless, leave people jobless, you ruin people's lives, and that's something that can actually have into these debates, right? So on limitations of like what this actually means, right? So on time frame, what you should notice that in non-compete clauses, right, in most jurisdictions, right, it mostly constitutes like things like 6 months to a year. So you know that we actually fine with competing directly or indirectly with us, as long as you work within that time frame. So after 6 months to 1 year, you can go and work for whatever business you want to work with. We don't care. But we think that at that crucial time frame, right, what you actually do is that you siphon very important business interests, right, and you actually harm our business. You actually harm us. We think it's completely unjustified. We think it's something that can actually exist in a healthy competitive, a healthy free market, right? So you think that the principal justification is about how a free market operates without like these like extremities, right? So we think that this is not a of right. It's an extremity that we can actually have in a free market. We think this actively harms and curtails what the free market tries to achieve in the long run. That's something we actually see happening in that world. You incentivize the free market from actually operating on its free cost. We think that's something that cannot be fed into these debates. On geographical location, right? So we think that within like a specific geographical region, right? We think that it's principally unjustified for you to leave my business, go and work in another person's business, and siphon the same business interests that I have actively worked for with my resources, with my time and constraints and what's not. We think if you leave a particular, within a particular geographical region, right? We think that it's okay, it's completely justified if you not actually work within the frames of that geographical business district, right? But actually go out and still get employment. We are fine with that. Because this is a developing country, we actually like having this debate on. That's very important. So we still give employment to that single one person who wants to solely protect your work. But then again, we tell you that you actually go outside of that geographical business district and actually go and do whatever you want to do. Because we tell you that what you actually do is that you are a threat to our business interests, something you can actually have in that particular business district. So we think that we are equally fine if you leave this geographical business district and go and work wherever you want to work with without like causing that kind of threat that you actually do to us. So this is something that should be very, very noted into this debate, right? That we still give that person employability and still protect the business of these local industries and other industries that are like not very like not have the same political leverage and the same mobility to actually like compete in a healthy economy, right? So that's on local mobility. He talks about how workers are going to be like milked and whatnot. Panel, this is very symmetrical, right? If the competing business decides to like take this worker who has like very specialized interests and whatnot, this person is going to actually be used as a pawn in that a pawn or a chip in that like business, in that competing business, without actually being valued for the type of work that they actually bring. So when they actually dance also milking that same person, what actually happens is that they can also predispose this person dispose this person off because this person becomes like very disposable, right? Because of like they actually just bring one particular thing to that like competing business, right? That is the business interest of that former person's like business, right? So what you actually do is that you're not actually like valuing the work that person actually brings, right? But that's what they can actually like bring to that business. That treating people as an use and end, something that is like principally unjustified in your work. I think that's something that you can actually have in today's debate. Hence, you actually devalue people in your work, you value the kind of work they actually bring in their work by using them as pawns in your work, as we tell you, right? Okay, time is up. On principal justification again, we thought that the businesses you want to crumble so badly also were the source of income for already low wage earning individuals, right? If, for example, you work in Casa Preco, right, and another competing business like maybe a Chinese brewing company, right, wants to like take very expertise people, wants to like base people from like these local industries, right? And wants them to actively work in these Chinese companies, right? What you actually do is that you not only like handle the interests of these companies, you crumble them, and also simultaneously what you do is that you leave people in this like local industries like very jobless, very homeless and whatnot. You think that you actually kill people's dreams, you actually make them like very endangered in society. That's what actually happens in your world. We think we cannot actually have a type of world that actually ensures that people are just like disposed of entirely. In our world, we ensure that utility is actually like promoted by safeguarding the business interests of people, by safeguarding the business interests of people who have actually worked to create these businesses. We think it's a fundamental affront to their hard work, to their integrity as business owners and as businesses in and of themselves, right? Non-compete still give people considerations. Things like, oh, if it's still less, if you want to go, right, and without you competing against us, we give you things like compensations, things like having access to our stock options, or even make recommendations outside our business district. So not just let you go without giving any kind of compensation. We still give you some sort of benefits in our work, and we give you a word that ensures.
Panel, I begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Now, panel, banning of the non-complete clause in developing countries is very essential because it doesn't benefit only the individuals, but then it also benefits the country, the companies as a whole, and those in these developing countries as a whole. Now, panel, I'm going to show you how these things actually work, how banning the non-complete clause would actually benefit individuals and also would also benefit the company as a whole and would also improve development in developing countries, right? Now, panel, what happens when the non-complete clauses are actually being cleared from these contracts of individuals, right? What happens is that there is an increase in job opportunities. Now, panel, clearly we see that in developing countries, job opportunities are very, very hard to go by. So what happens is that in these countries whereby there are no job opportunities, and then these same countries have these non-complete clauses in the contracts of these people that are being employed, what happens is that the developing countries, that these people in these developing countries are actually looking for job, are inherently always looking for job, right? What happens is that in their world, what happens is that on the individual side, what happens is that there is an increased job opportunity where you see that these individuals are being, where we see that these individuals when they inherently lose their job, right? What happens is that they can still go and look for another job, or when the job that they were into, when it doesn't favor them, they can increasingly, or they can also go and look or create another business because of the fact that they are being able to give this, there is no restrictions on them, right? Because of the fact that these non-complete clause doesn't affect them, because of the fact that this non-complete clause doesn't affect them, right? So then on the individual side, there is a clear increase in job opportunities because of the fact that employees will be able to move freely between jobs without the fear of being legally without legal repercussions, right? Individuals will know because we know clearly that this non-complete clause is a legal thing. So then what happens is that if individuals, or in a world whereby the non-complete clause actually affects these individuals, we could see that in a time frame, we could see that it doesn't allow these individuals to also create opportunities when they either, that's why I show you that these two things, either they want to leave the job because of poor working conditions or something, or they want to leave the job freely, or they be fired. What happens is that they can now, one, create new job opportunities for themselves. Two, they can also join any other company that values their skills, right? So then in their world whereby there is a non-complete clause, what happens is that these people are being restricted because panel in the opening oppositions framework, he clearly shows that there is a frame or there's a particular time from say either 6 months to a whole year. A human being can't sit out 6 months or a whole year without a job or without they creating something for themselves. So then what happens on the individual side is that there is no, what happens
from what they are saying, if an individual leaves because of the fact that they don't have these conditions favoring them, or they want to leave freely, what happens is that they tend to stay out of the job market without anything to do, and this can actually hurt them, because we are looking at a world whereby job is actually inherently very difficult to get by, and this is in the developing countries, right? We also clearly show you in our world that when there is whereby these non-complete clauses are actually removed from these clauses, right, from these agreements, what happens is that there is an encouragement in entrepreneurship. Now, how does this work on the individual side, right? Now, panel, we could clearly see that if I am working in Casapreco and I am having a skill to also brew these things, I could also create mine and be aside to these companies, but then it wouldn't inherently crash the as he said, it will crash the hopes of people and leave people jobless. I could still be doing my job, and Casapreco could still be doing my job. The only difference is that if Casapreco is able to sustain themselves, if Casapreco is also able to maintain the way they are, if they keep on producing quality drinks that they keep on doing, the only thing is that I have brought competition to Casapreco, even inherently to the fact that I have left the job, right? So I've also brought competition to Casapreco because of the fact that I have been able to do something on this, though it is the same thing, but then the only thing Casapreco would have to do is that they would have to make sure that they improve their services to people, right? So then on the argument of entrepreneurship, people or individuals are actually individuals become better entrepreneurs in this case, right? So then, panel, on companies, how does these things benefit companies? Now, we see that companies' reputations are increased. Now, panel, I'll show you how companies' reputations are increased, right? Now, when these non-complete clauses are actually being removed from these agreements, right, what happens is that employees or employers actually also advocate these companies out, because of the fact that they know that when they leave these companies, when these companies provide things that do not favor them, they are inherently incentivized to also go and produce theirs. So then, on the reputation of the company, these companies are actually being seen as companies that wouldn't do things that would actually affect you, because of the fact that these non-complete clauses can actually, it's a legal framework. So then it could put the reputation that these people are trying to build it could put the reputation for these companies as inherently bad, right? And also it encourages employee development. What happens in our world is that employees develop well, and this inherently benefits the company. Now, panel to OO's cases, right? Come to talk about people actually having to leave their geographical location because of the fact that the non-complete courses actually also emphasizes on geographical locations. Now, panel, if I am working for a particular company and I am not being able to actually go and open my business somewhere else, and I can open my business at that particular area, what happens is that even though we are in the same geographical area, what happens is that there is a competition, because now at this point there is no monopoly from one company that is actually trying to monopolize the market, but then there is diversity. People would either engage mine or engage theirs because of the fact that there is a monopoly in the market, right? It's fully up. Okay, thank you. It's a proud day to propose.
I'll take them on panel. There's a problem in developing countries, and that's why we are here in the first place. The problem is that employees don't stay in one company for long. PM agrees to this. That means that they are always why is this the case? Employees are always interested in short-term benefits, which most at times affects the long-term development of businesses and in turn affects the economy of these developing countries, right? There are so many small startup businesses that fail each and every year, not because they don't have great ideas, but because they lack the resources needed for sustainability and continuity, which is very important to developing countries, since businesses are like the backbone of their GDP and affect their GDPs and their production largely, right? Now, what does the non-compete clause does, right? It protects companies. It gives them a favorable environment to grow, to reach economies of scale, to broaden their scope, employ more members, boost the country's GDP, and prevent unhealthy competition that breeds inconsistent and unsustainable companies that will die out after they exhaust their stolen ideas, right? John Paul tried to tell you what these non-compete clauses look like, right? And to an extent, they agree to it, right? This looks like this. When you are laid off as an employee, there are restrictions which are time-bound and geographically bound, right? What does this look like? During the first, it varies according to companies, right? Maybe during the first 6 months or first year of like you being laid off, you are not allowed to go into any other company that is directly competing with this company or that is in the specific business jurisdiction this company is in, right? This looks like geographical location. That does not mean you are prevented from actively going into a company in the same profession outside the business jurisdiction, right? Outside the geographical, like the business geographical area, right? You can still go there to those companies, but just as there's a regional prohibition of going to companies, right? And you can still go into these companies after the 6 months to 1 year is up, right? And one very important thing to consider is that the laying off of these workers does not happen just like that or with magic, right? The laying off has conditions, right? So former employees, because these businesses, first of all, know that this is like a burden they are putting on employees to not go into these companies. So one thing they do is that former employees receive disposable benefits like recommendations outside the geographic business district, etc. They should have read on what non-compete clauses are and how they work, but they didn't. So yeah. Compensations and remunerations are also given to these employees to last you for the injunction period, which can be 6 months or 1 year, till like the injunction is off you and you can go into any other profession, right? This is very important in this debate. So all their cases about how these employees are disincentivized and then they can't get jobs and now they live poor lives is very, very absurd, because these companies know what they are putting you into and they give you benefits and remunerations to actively ensure and encourage you not to go into these companies, right? They talk about mobilization and how our world is like against mobilization and employees are not incentivized to go into other professions or to go into other companies, right? Our world even encourages mobilization into other regions. Why is this so? I've told you like how these non-compete clauses work, right? And how you are free to go into other regions which do not have the which are not in competition with these companies you came from, right? This means that employees who really want to go out and create their own companies or who really want to go and work for other companies in the same sector can do it in other regions, which means that we are encouraging employees to actively go into other regions that do not have these same sectors to promote the development of these companies or these businesses in those regions. Why is this very important for developing countries? I've already told you the problem of developing countries. We are in need of businesses that can actively employ people, businesses that can actively encourage and promote our GDP. And this can only be the case if businesses are not centralized in one place. And our world promotes decentralization, because if you are living and you still want to go and start up a business in this same business, you can't do it in the same region. If the company is Accra, go to northern region and go and do your own business there. They don't care about it because it's outside the geographical location that is written down in the non-compete clauses. I'll take your PI. It seems he wasn't listening when I gave you a characterization of how these non-compete clauses work. He didn't read it. I told them how it works, and he still didn't listen. I tell you that the companies do not just leave you to go. They know the condition in which they are putting you into. And these non-compete clauses come with remunerations. It comes with compensations that are given to these individuals when they are laid off. Like compensations that are proportional to the injunction period in which you cannot go into other companies. So I don't know why you say that. Okay, our case on principal justification, right? There is a reason why patent rights exist. There is a reason why IP rights, intellectual property rights exist, right? Why do these exist? They exist to protect individuals and companies and give them the right to enjoy the benefits of their ideas and intellectual property for a period of time. Why is this very important? This is important because that incentivizes people to actively come out with innovations and ideas. Because if I come out with innovations and I feel like this innovation I'm coming out with, I wouldn't even have enough time to actually accrue the benefits of this innovation. And all my competitors are going to, like the moment I bring it out, all my competitors have the opportunity to get this idea and also to benefit from this. How am I incentivized to bring out these ideas? How is a company incentivized to be innovative in their world? They don't tell us that. We prove it to you in our world, right? Non-compete clauses exist to protect the company's intellectual property for a period of time to enable companies to benefit from their ideas. We encourage and incentivize companies to be innovative without the fear that the ideas wouldn't bring them exclusive benefits or advantages, right? We tell you that their world undermines the resources that companies invest into specialized training and innovation. Note that companies invest a lot into specialized training and innovation, and into specialized training and training workers in certain niche fields, right? If their world is a world in which companies actively fear all the time that even if I'm investing in your specialized training, immediately you leave this company, you are going to go to another company and use the resources I invested in you to actively promote my competitor company. How are companies incentivized to invest more into their employees, into the quality of their resources, and to make sure their employees are always improving, right? They don't prove it to us. Weighing of our world and their world, right? Our world is a world in which we protect the IP rights of companies, right? We protect the innovative rights of companies. We make sure that companies in developing countries are always incentivized to be innovative and incentivized to actively improve the quality of their workers, to improve the specialized training of their workers. A world in which companies are incentivized to do their best without the fear that their competitors can anytime overrun them with their own ideas. Proud to oppose.
Thank you very much for that speech. Shall we have the member of government please open our
Now, panel, recognize a world where people are being limited to just explore and mobilize their talents in certain ways. Now, panel, what does this bring you? It brings you a lot of challenges as a developing country. Let's take Ghana as a developing country where we lack so many things in the country, but we need so many people with talents to just create, so many people with talents to just also prove them to help the country in certain ways. Now, Ghana as a developing country has faced so many challenges, especially in the job creation aspect. So if this ban is placed on these developing countries, what does it do? It tends to limit how these talents are going to be used in these developing countries. Now, upon how do I bring you into this debate? I'll give you my introduction I've given you. I'm going to flag my burdens. I'll give you some framing and characterization. I'll take you into some serious segmentation. To framing and characterization, what does status quo look like? Status quo looks like a world where they are going to ban non-compete clauses, where non-compete clauses in countries like Ghana, where it's going to limit, which it's going to focus on limiting people who have other talent to also try to create works or try to invest in or try to start up their businesses of their own, which can also help the country in diverse ways. Who are the stakeholders in this debate? One of the stakeholders are the employees and the employers. How is it going to affect them negatively? One, it's going to create job instability. It's going to create job instability in a way that this company may become less willing to invest in them because you know that. Because you know you are going to stay in this company, I'm not going to be willing to invest in you because I know you have the talent and you can leave this company. I'm not going to be willing to invest in you for you to also take it out to us. So this is going to also make the companies not willing or less willing to invest in this talent, which will also
which can also retard economic growth. 2, the employers. These employers may lose valuable employees to competitors, potentially exposing trade secrets to them. In a way that if this ban is placed on, the developing country like Ghana, these employers are going to lose valuable employees who may be valuable in other aspects of the country, or in other aspects of industries to their competitors, which may end up destroying them in the long run. Now, panel, which measures do they use to suppress this thing? Employees from they not leaving their companies to go and pursue their talents outside. They use something like threats, and they use losing benefits. Now, panel, these employees may tend to threaten some of these employees for them not to also leave their company in order for them to go and also look for new jobs, or for them to invest, for them to start new businesses of their own. 2, they use long-term and rigid contracts. Now, panel, before anyone gets into a company, or before you are being taken as an employee in a work, you are being made to sign any contract. Now, these employees are going to make long and rigid contracts in a way that if it happens, you cannot leave the company to go and start your own business, or to go and join another company of your choice. Now, panel, we move to the next thing, which is problems which can be faced in their work. Now, panel, this will prevent employees from leaving their country, which will prevent employees from leaving their workplace to pursue their dream or start up another capital. Which impact, in a sense that because this clause restricts employees from leaving their company, the country may be able to face, developing countries like Ghana may be able to face shortages of new business and startup businesses, hindering innovation and growth of emerging industries, and limit job creation, which may cause high dependency on the state. Now, panel 2, one of the challenges you can face in their world is it suppresses wage. They might suppress wage in their world, in the sense that in developing countries where wages are already low this can also further suppress wage growth. Companies may offer minimal raises and benefits by perpetuating income inequality. 3, reducing knowledge sharing. As developing countries, we already need ideas to improve some challenges in the country. If I'm in a company and you try to suppress me, and I have a solution to something which might help the company as a whole and might help the nation in the long run, this is going to suppress the idea of, or this is going to limit the employee from sharing this idea to benefit the company and the country in the long run. And this idea may even tend to solve challenges in the country. I'll take a pair later. Now, panel, let me tell you why our word is better than theirs. 1, I'll give you one analysis and one impact. 1, it enhances talent mobility. Panel, by banning this, it encourages startup and innovations, in the sense that these non-complete clauses would be able to allow employees to move freely between countries, freely between companies and startups, fostering a dynamic system. Now, panel, I'll take a bit later. You realize a world where we have a world where is diversified. Now, if these companies try to suppress these people, how would they try to go out and explore? How they try to achieve their dreams? Now, panel, which impact does this bring? This increases in entrepreneurial activity as an employee leverage their experience to start new ventures, leading to economic growth in the long run. But you should realize this as a developing country, that we are facing so many problems. So just imagine this person or this employee trying to go out there to just create his or a business. Now he or she creating his or a business might even create other jobs for people who are in the society, and this tends to reduce the high level of unemployment in the country at a long run. Panel 2, employees can freely exhibit their skills in different ways, in different contexts, leading to a faster dissemination of knowledge. Now, panel, what does this bring you? If you allow an employee to go out and maybe start his new business or move to another company, in this case, it's overall going to lead to a faster spread of knowledge. How in that world you have where the employees may not be able to share what they have, but if they start their own business and they employ people, they tend to even share an idea or the knowledge of how of what they have to them to also if to them in case they also want to start up their business at a long run, which is also going to end up leading to a larger spread of these ideas, which can also solve problems in the community as a whole. Now, panel 3, by banning this clause, it will attract foreign companies looking for this. My personal comment will do extensive application.
Okay. I start my speech in 3, 2, 1. A lot of clarity in today's debate, right? 1. First concession on the opening half that they made it important that the legitimacy of the government to make such bans because they want economic development, etc. in the government. We consider that. We'll show you why it's better on our word, right? But upon note, OG refuses to give a model, even though we assume that if it feels like, oh, we'll ban it completely, it means no incentive, etc. Another model comes from it that, oh, these people will be giving compensation, etc. We'll show you that in our world, even in both worlds, we get better utility at our end. Why? 2 major stakeholders. 1, the individual, that's the employee. 2, the companies, right? Now, we know that this thing is happening in the developing country. For the side to win, we show you the side that better gives utility to both of these stakeholders win today's debate, and that is exactly what we are going to do, right? Now, how does developing countries look like? Better clarity you get. 1, unintended inflations and things like economic problems that exist. That is why you see some companies opting out of the government. That's why you see a lot of startups even collapsing in the long run. Yet. Now, the second thing is bad governance with regard to things like corruption, etc. That is why you see that, oh, even as years go by, these countries continue being in debt like Ghana. The impact is that these countries do not have any incentives of becoming better. So it means that debt will continue happening. The economy is going to still trash in the long run, right? We'll show you why that clarity is very, very important in our debate, right? The third thing is what? It then means that the people who can survive in these countries are monopolistic companies. That is, companies that have large monopolies. You then see that companies that are able to survive things that are this economic hardship and make sure they have this relevance are able to survive. That is why companies who are not able to live a test of that, like Society General etc. are opting out of their country because they can't sustain. So it then means that the companies that can sustain and be in the country for a long time are monopolistic companies, and we have to know why even people would even want to opt into this company that have large monopolies and etc. I analyzed to you very well why that is very, very important, right? Now, it then means that 1, for employment to be high in the country, it means it has to be done by these monopolistic companies. 2, for individuals to achieve better actualization for themselves, it has to happen through this these big companies we analyzed to you, right? Now, the employee, what are the incentives of the employee that we put to you? 1, self-actualization, to make sure that they are important over time. You get these people are living in Shege. They want better lives, they want better survival, etc. They want their lives to be better, okay? So in and of itself, these people would always want to have that self-actualization that they need. It then means that these people will want to have a place where they have the optimum utility that they get and improve to become better in and of itself. Now, so someone to be able to go into a competing company, which I've proved to you that these monopolistic companies in that regard, this person must, 1, have needed skills, like top-notch skills to be in this company, because they have high competition and people want to troop into this company. So it means that they have to get that needed quality that these monopolistic companies need. Now, analysis on monopolistic companies. 1, these companies are people who have gained relevance over time. That means that this company, 1, have large customer bases. 2, are able to sustain over a long period of time. 3, they have different branches at other countries that serve as shock absorbers to them, so they can still have that investment that they want. The 4th thing that's very important is economy of scale. These people still want to get that value that they get, accreditation they get from their customers. So it then means that these people have to make sure they are up to date. That means that they're improving of their services, make sure that individuals can still buy into their ideologies. What this then means is that is why MTN office will do in-training service for its personnel to make sure that they are up to date. That looks like to societal general, like companies making sure that they have the needed skills at most of time. They make sure that their employees are like needed skills to make sure that even in this training and improving technologies, they are still abreast with time and make sure that they serve their customers so that they still have that relevance, so that the companies don't break down. You get that's the impact. Now, these monopolistic companies want to maintain their relevance. I've told you that. One, they want to improve the skills and efficiency of like their workers. It then means that the individual who is working in that company will still be tasked to improve. This self-actualization that I'm talking about is that these people would have to improve. It then means that companies will still increase their utility in that regard because these people are being relevant as time goes on. These people have increased their relevance in the company, will achieve a lot of utilities, a lot of compensations in that regard because they are relevant. It then means that the actualization that this person wants will actually be achieved in the long run, right? Pano, the opening half I've debated in one side of the house, right? We are extending to the other side of the house where they talk to you about, these people can even opt in and build with startups. We show you why that startups won't happen. First analysis on how the country is already in shaggy and economic crisis and inflation etc. It then means that these people, even if they go into to start up their businesses, high probability that business will stand over time is high. Even if analysis is, even if these companies are able to reach out over time, it will take a longer time and they have to compete with that big companies that are having monopoly over the time. It will make that these people have to stress a lot to like employ that better things, like better employees and etc that they want. It then means that in their world, that startup wouldn't happen because of what? Economic crisis, inflation and uncertainty that happen. You get now. Panel, note, no rational employee will go from a big company to a small company. I've proven to you why. Because they want actualization so that word that these people preach that these people go for a big company and come to a small company who hold in today's debate, right? Companies, right? Analyze you. Company want to because the people are monopolistic and have their own ideologies. They don't want their ideology to be proliferated to the other side because all want relevant. It then means that it improves the creativity of different sides of the house because this house wants to be relevant, another house wants to be relevant. So they will make sure that they improve their ideas creativity. What this then means is that it tasks the individual in that company to always be creative and meet up to time. It then means that actualization is better achieved in our world. What these people say that it will encourage them to be better is better achieved in our world, and we get that benefit, right? The main case you get from us is like uncertainties that happen and actualization that we talked to you about, right? The uncertainty that he will take you. Uncertainty that happen with kind of startups not being able to be for food over time and people don't having that actualization that they want. But we tell you that in our world you get best actualization because now you are better in your food, you are better satisfied. Companies will now have their ability to be relevant over time, and the relevance will be achieved. Companies are there for government to be relevant. Bring this debate from close.
So our world here is looking at how we are going to ban compete clauses in developing countries. The whole idea is that we are trying to save the loss of trade secrets, and also we are trying to protect the integrity of a company's idea, because if we don't protect these integrities, we are going to have a lot of problems in our system here. So now let's look at some of the things that my partner came to say, and then from then on we move to development of these cases. Now he says that the talent, the banning of compete clauses is going to enhance talent mobility. Now, why does he say this? When you ban the compete clauses, you are going to allow the people to actually explore their various ideas, because why is this important? Because when people explore their various ideas, they are able to like make new things and stuff from what they've actually learned, because creativity comes from having an idea of initial knowledge. Yes. Now let's look at the new okay, so employees can freely express their skills in different contexts, leading to faster dissemination of knowledge. Yes, like I said, when you have creative ideas, you're able to spread your knowledge, and somebody can also build something from there on in that sense. Now, there is also a new concept here which comes with economic development. With the expansion of ideas, someone can actually appeal to someone else's idea, and then they can work with it, whilst another company too has a different idea. Let us look at such idea in the concept of the Apple and Samsung. Both of them produce mobile devices, but here is the case here. With Samsung, they have various possibilities and advantages for their customers as compared to Apple, who also have a different perspective of what the product. Now, although the two of them seem to be competing with each other, opposition said, they were saying that our problem is that it creates unhealthy competition. That's the problem here. It doesn't create unhealthy competition. Why do I say this? Because Samsung and Apple always have this banter amongst them, but there is no violence or anything against their concept here, because when Samsung produces a device, you realize that Apple too does not sit on their chairs. They also wake up and try to create something new, so that they can what? Also match up with the new ideas that have come into the stock market here. Give me a moment, please. Okay, so let's look at some of the policies that our bench brought to you here. It says that companies must have shared responsibilities among their employees, so that organizations will not have trade secrets exposed, in the sense that when you have someone doing only a particular job or a particular duty, he's not going to essentially share the ideas, because he doesn't have access to the various departments in the company here. What is this going to do? It's going to protect the data and the trade secrets of the company. It's also going to save them any problem, such as somebody having full knowledge of the whole company and creating another company along the side. So when you have individual people doing particular things, it is going to create a lot of good advantages. Yes. Okay, so now we also told you that there are patent laws in the system. So when you have patent laws, it means that somebody cannot just come out from your company and create the very same product that you have already produced. Yes, so you are going to create a product, but yes, make sure that it is not as the same as ours. Create something different, but yes, we can have this competition in the system here. Now, also companies should invest in their employees' professional growth. Companies investing in the employees' professional growth includes the fact that when you have a person in your company, what is going to happen? You are going to give the person incentives, good allowances. That is going to what? Promote the person to stay in your company rather than putting a clause that is going to refrain the person from exploring their what? Various ideas. So when you are giving them good incentives, what is happening? The people are going to be happy and they will continue staying in your company and they will work for you because what? You are giving them the things that they also demand from you. You cannot just take their money from them, or you reduce their money and then you also put them under a clause here. That's what we are trying to stop, because we don't want people to be using the clauses to stop them from what? Their development. So if you are able to promote their personal development, what is going to happen? You are going to have the people getting what they want and also giving the company what the company wants, because when everybody is happy, we can have a very interesting world here. Yes. So, now when we have no non-competing clauses, companies will be able to focus more on improving their working conditions. They are going to involve things like, let's say if your company is having no AC, the place is always warm. When the company decides to put what? AC inside the system, it means that the employees will enjoy the environment and continue to be happy and working in that environment. That is why we are trying to stop these non-compete clauses, because non-compete clauses come with things like, okay, you are not permitted to do anything outside of our company because we initially hired you. What does it mean? Now when I'm suffering, I have to stay in the company and suffer, when very well you know that you are not what? Making me comfortable in this environment. That is what we are trying to make you understand. So with better working conditions, the people who enjoy the place will continue to produce better continue to give more productivity output. You are going to also have people, the companies expanding. Yes, because somebody has an idea and he's also enjoying the benefits. What's happening? He's going to make the company expand because he comes with an idea, and then because he likes where he's working in, what is going to happen? More ideas are going to flow from there, and then we can have more productivity here. Thank you very much.
Okay, I start in 3, 2, 1. Pano, what do you get Kingsley coming to tell you? He paints to you how these developing countries look like when it comes to their economic structure, right? He tells you, one, the market structure is very bad. That means companies that only exist there are, one, monopolistic. That means these companies have a large expanse and have gained a trust of these people. That is why we have MTN, Vodafone thriving in the first place, Nestle, Ghana thriving in the first place, right? Because we think that these companies have been able to actually sustain that level of economic, that is economic pressure that it actually comes with in the first place, right? We think these companies also have other branches across the said country that they actually live in. That is why these companies are able to gather lots of resources. That is why you see today, there's no way you can actually pick a phone and make call regardless of your economic situation. There's no way somebody will wake up in the morning and will say, oh, today I'm craving for that is kind of breakfast, so I'll not go and buy Milo and all this kind of stuff, right? These are basic things that we do, that we think it makes these companies in the first place thrive in the first place, right? Pano, what do you get Kingsley coming to tell you? Kingsley tells you clearly that the uncertainty of that is employees wanting to start a business in these developing countries is something that cannot actually be measured. How successful is actually going to be, right? That is why we have a lot of startup companies that have actually collapsed because they didn't get that market structure, because they don't have the trust of the people. That's why Kingsley tells you clearly that this company that exists, that the individual already exists in, is something that the individual or the people in the state have actually come to, that is trust these kind of companies. That means they have a mass resources that can actually sustain this kind of economic pressure that actually it comes with, right? But before then, panel, let me engage some few things, right?
on that is OG. OG clearly comes here to say, oh, there's going to be, they're going to stifle like competition in the first place, right? I'm going to tell you why that is not true. Even if what they say will actually make these employees buy or like venture into their companies will not actually work in the first place. Is one panel note that if they say that exploitation exists in our world, right? The moment you increase the utility of the individual, the harm that it comes with is very low. That means individuals will not actually bother the kind of harm that actually is causing. Rather, once you increase somebody's utility, that means these employees that exist in these big companies will not actually want to venture into any other company or trying to that is start up any new business. Why do you think this is true? This is true because as you are there, you actually have to pay for certain bills, right? You pay for like electricity bills, you pay for all these things, right? At the moment you are getting these kind of incentives from these big companies that Kinsley has analyzed to you, right? You don't actually go ahead to make your mind to start up a business that you're not certain of is going to thrive in the first place, or you actually make up your mind to enter into a competition like a different company that is competing, right? I'm going to analyze to you why that individual will not enter into a competing company, right? We think necessarily that Kinsley comes to tell you that these big companies have a lot of resources to be able to give a lot of skills to these individuals. That means companies in of itself or inherently wants to thrive. Once they want to thrive, they want to increase productivity. Why is this true? This is true because companies do not actually waste a whole lot of resources on the skill of the individual or trying to bring that kind of skill of the individual. No, because they want to actually increase productivity. So in that sense, they have to measure or let me say put that kind of level of trainings sessions for these kind of people in order for them to thrive and increase productivity, right? But no, we think this is very, very important because as I've analyzed you, they want to thrive. The impact you get here is that one, companies are actually going to thrive in the long run by producing more. The individual himself is actually going to get a higher utility. That means the individual will be able to afford basic things inherently. Thirdly, we think the government as a whole is even going to get these kind of higher revenues as a result of the taxes that are going to be paid by these higher companies, right? That is what that is not actually encouraging when it comes to the economic structure of these things, right? Panel, we think that these people talk about that is increased opportunities, right? We think that is not actually something that should run in the first place, right? Because we think necessarily the uncertainty of you going out to set up your business is going to even undermine that kind of job opportunities that you think you're going to create. Because we think that the moment that you're not sure of the kind of that is job like a startup business, you're not sure of how this startup business is going to thrive, is something that becomes even a dilemma living in that minds of that employee, which that employee will not even venture into in the first place, right? We think that in a developing country where the economic structure is so poor and so bad that people don't have a lot of trust in this small startup business, though they serve as that is a short medium for this startup business in the first place, right? But we think that the individual will actually still continue to not buy into their word. That is why we think the ban even shouldn't happen in the first place because of the nature of the economic structure that exists in developing countries, right? We think on that is utility, right? Individuals end up. Note the clashes. Individual utility, right? We think individuals end up in small companies, or they are not certain of the kind of business that they're actually going to do, which will be successful in the first place, right? We think individuals won't be able to pay basic utility, but in our world, the individual is actually going to get this kind of basic utility from the big companies that they thrive in the first place, right? We think that the individuals, as far as the individual is contributing its quota to this company, who are actually going to incentivize this individual to thrive in the first place, right? We think the impact you get on one companies to the companies, the impact you get on companies is one that is actually going to make the companies thrive in the long run, right? And then two, we think the impact you get or the government will get is the fact that the government is able or will be able to get a lot of revenue through the taxes that's going to be paid by these companies that exist in the developing countries, right? We think the individual's utility is something that is going to increase because the individual feels oh, once I'm actually thriving here, this is a world that we want. We don't want a ban on these things, right? Because we think we increase the individual's